Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is NateFNGreat, and this is the Game Changer Podcast. It's a retrospective of 2019. Quite honestly, looking back at this year, it has been one of the most amazing years that I could ever ask for and could ever have. As far as I'm basically going to be going like so many different directions with this. I do want to try to keep some things in chronological order because it definitely does feel like things just kind of escalate from the start of the year all the way till the end of this year. But I definitely do want to mention, some of the major highlights from this year. It almost feels like everything in every month has been a highlight. I cannot think of any real time that anything was like a low time or just something where I thought that everything sucked or anything like that. I thought it was just absolutely a lot of fun. So, yeah, just going to kind of start off with the start of the year. We're worked with Fight TV as well as SoCal Val to promote Impact Homecoming, which was a good show. Other than the last two matches, I think it was the women's title match and the Impact Wrestling World title match were the two matches that I was not very keen on. It was just maybe a lack of chemistry or just how the storyline went, but it just didn't work out too well. That was a lot of fun to be able to be a part of that selection process of saying, hey, you get the chance to see the show for free, and it was an absolutely great show. Getting a chance to go back to Chicago, and there's a lot of times where I've been going back to Chicago during this year. Chicago feels like a second home after this year, and to be honest, it's always great. But going back to Chicago and doing the Oscar Awards with VictoriBelle, one of the former co-hosts on here, it was a better Oscar award show than the one prior. The one prior just felt like it dragged, and it felt like it was just not as exciting or as memorable as this past year. I mean, this past year we had no host, a bunch of presenters, and a lot of them were just a lot of fun to watch and just hearing the musical performances, everything like that. And Marvel had such a huge presence there that made it even better. Got a couple of awards. It was well deserved. It was absolutely great, and honestly, it was just great to be able to hang out with VictoriBelle again and just do this deal again. I'm just looking at these pictures of the two of us, dressing all fancy. I had like a nice little hat and was wearing a suit, and she had this beautiful red and black dress. It was just absolutely great. From there, going to C2E2, which honestly wasn't even on my agenda for the longest of times, but getting the chance to go into C2E2 and just seeing all the vendors and seeing all the people that put so much hard work and effort into the costumes that they created. I'm looking at the pictures here and just seeing so many people who were just, well, actually, the first picture that I have here is something I was familiar with, and that was just two people who were wearing Bullet Club t-shirts, and it was awesome to be able to be like, hey, there's wrestling fans. That's great. I got something to kind of work off of. I got the chance to meet Jim Cornette, before the whole incident that kind of probably would make him go blacklisted for a while. Got the chance to meet one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, CM Punk. That was great. First of like 2 times. Met up with somebody on Twitter, Nicole. She was absolutely a delight. And what's funny is that she was trying to get my attention. I kept hearing my name, and I'm thinking to myself, am I just going crazy, or is it just a situation where where somebody's actually calling for me? And then I find out, it was Nicole from Twitter. So she was a delight. She was a sweetheart and absolutely wonderful to see her. I got the chance to meet Elite, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and I'm still trying to figure out what the hell one of them was saying to me. They said this phrase of, have you heard? I don't know if it was supposed to be like a surfing bird reference or something like that, but it's still one of those things that just haunts me to this day. It's like, what's going on? another couple like great wrestling cosplays. Got a guy who dressed up like Steiner, Savage, Goldust. Then we get into some of the classic great, oh my gosh, some of these costumes were absolutely fantastic. They had a Jason Voorhees, they had a Harley Quinn, Merlin and Madame Mim. Oh man, it was just great. Some Star Wars related, some Marvel related characters. It was just a fantastic, fantastic deal. And one of the things I really love about this was that I got to be a part of the press and be able to interview some of these people for about maybe 10, 15 seconds at most. Maybe it was even more than that. Maybe I'm not giving myself that much credit. But being able to do that and to be able to talk to these people about why they love coming to these conventions, why do they enjoy, cosplaying, what do they love most about it? It's just absolutely great. Oh man, there's a guy dressed up like Shazam. I honestly thought it was Zach. He looked exactly like Zachary Levi would. That was just fan-freaking-tastic. And he just was a great guy to just talk to. Continuing on from there, the next set of photos that I have in here are my trip to the New Jersey area, to the New York area, to go to WrestleMania. And the three big events four, I should say. Four big events that really stood out to me with this were the takeover shows, the WrestleMania event itself, WrestleCon that was in New York, as well as the Rant Gala. And the first things that I see on here for my WrestleMania deal was pictures of me at the Rant Gala, and I just remember that being such a fantastically fun time to be able to meet up with so many of these wrestling-related podcasters, to be able to meet so many people that you talk to over Twitter and stuff like that, and to start developing these friendships that sometimes, are going to last throughout the rest of the year, more likely, or they're going to last a lot longer than that. And there's quite a few people on here that I have gotten the chance to really know better and get the chance to just enjoy their company, enjoy the conversations. It's just absolutely great. There's a picture during this WrestleMania deal where I do like a bow to Demon Diva, Issa, and it was just great because she is just the sweetest person I've ever met. She's very passionate whenever she is right about something. She's very passionate about proving to you that she is right. But she is just a delight to work with. And I got the chance to meet her little dog Roman, got to meet her fiance, got to meet Phil, I got to meet MJ, got to meet the Kings of the Rings podcast, getting the chance to meet up with King Ricky, Dusty Dave when he was a part of it, as well as Will, who was the host for me for when I was staying. Will was honestly one of those guys that just was a great, like I said, he's a great host, and he definitely introduced me to different areas. He definitely showed me a nice little pizza joint that was going on there, and said, "You've not lived until you've had, New Jersey pizza." And he was right. I enjoyed that pizza very much, so much so that when I Ubered back from WrestleCon back to his place, I made a pit stop to eat at the pizza joint, and it's just absolutely fantastic. So definitely wanted to say thank you to Will for being my host. Well, I was going to use the phrase, host parent, because that was kind of how it is up here. Like anytime that we have somebody who's a foreign exchange student, they usually call them like host parents or host families or something like that. So I guess we can say that he's like the host brother for me in that case. Another great thing, like I mentioned, I mentioned Rant Gala a lot, and I will continue to mention it because it was headed up by one of the greatest human beings that ever lived, that being Anthony DiStefano, a.k.a. the Rant Father himself. He is one of those people that I have not felt the kind of warmth and just the personality that he has is just one in a million. Honestly, I don't think I've ever felt the kind of personality that he's had since one of my friends who passed away, Nathan Burmester. he was one of those guys who was just very open-minded. He was definitely one of those people that would welcome in the positives, and if there was somebody that was kind of, out of the loop or something like that, he would try to incorporate them in. And that's kind of the feeling I had with Anthony. He is one of those guys who really does want people to feel welcomed into the community. He wants people to have fun with wrestling. He wanted people to enjoy the time, and he did a fantastic job with the Rant Gala. And he was, again, one of those people that did that during the Fourth Wall WrestleCast. Fourth Wall guys who just announced that they will be leaving WrestleAddict Radio. So it's going to be an interesting year for WrestleAddict Radio because it's going to be us at the Game Changers podcast and Kings of the Rings. But we are looking to expand and try to get some people into that. But I definitely will get more into that a little later on. Just the entire weekend, and also getting the chance to go to my second full-fledged meet and greet was just an absolutely fantastic time. Getting the chance to meet people like Chris Masters, Jordan Grace, Colt Cabana, Brian Zane, who I've had on my show so many times. I was not expecting him to show up, and when I saw him, I literally just went up to him. We had a nice, conversation. We even took a picture of us doing like a tug of war belt deal. That was just absolutely great. Meeting Noelle Foley again for the second time. Was the second of 4 times. I've met her like 4 times in the last year alone, and it is just insanity just seeing that. Meeting up with Rosemary and Allie. I met them at least, well, actually it's going to be 3 times in the last year, and they are just they're just always great talking to them. Allie's always got the bright personality, and Rosemary is, well, Rosemary, let's face it. Meeting, people like Mick Foley. I've definitely wanted to rub it in my friend Max's face that I got to meet Mick Foley before he did at Water City Wrestling Con about a month later. But getting the chance to meet people like that, meeting Melina again, meeting Thunder Rosa, Marty the Moth, oh my gosh. Getting the chance to meet Marty from Lucha Underground was just fan-freaking-tastic. Just getting that chance to tell him, hey dude, I loved everything you did in Lucha Underground, I loved everything that you did throughout your career. It's just absolutely great, and he is just an absolutely fantastic person to talk to. It's just really awesome to see that. Mention, of course, the Fourth Wall's, not the Rant Gala, but the Fourth Wall tailgate party, there we go. Like I said, meeting up with so many different people, meeting up with Wade and Scott, and I got to meet the QB, Kate Murphy, which was a delight in of itself. It was just absolutely phenomenal. WrestleMania weekend was just absolutely great, and to everybody that I've got the chance to meet and interact with all throughout that time, I just want to say thank you for making that weekend memorable and for making it fun. It definitely, the stuff building surrounding WrestleMania, and this is something you can definitely hear on the podcast that I have with Val in just about almost a day now. It's going to be the 1st of January that I will release it. But getting the chance to do all that stuff, it was more fun to just talk to so many of the different people outside and to go through to the events. Like I said, NXT TakeOver New York was fantastic. One of the best cards I've ever gotten the chance to witness live. Getting the chance to meet everybody from the WrestleAddict Radio team to the family to everything that went on. It was just absolutely great. I loved it. It was phenomenal. From there, going into Water City Wrestling Con, one of the biggest events that the Game Changer podcast had sponsored. We got a poster out of it. I still love it, and honestly, it's going to be one of those banners that I am just going to hold on to forever and a day, just because it's just so great. We got our own table set up. One of my friends, Jess, she did a fantastic job of creating this poster for the podcast, basically showcasing, hey, this is where everybody can be found on Twitter, this is where we are located for the deals, and just being able to meet the local talent that were a part of this. I mean, I got to meet, Skylar Evans. This is a guy who we've talked about, wrestling and stuff like that, and now he's going out there and he's being a fantastic wrestler in and of himself. I mean, his gimmick, his face paint, everything he does, it's just so mesmerizing, and I'm so glad that he's being able to go out there and live his dream. It's just really cool to see that. Getting a chance to talk to people like Dream Police, and later on I would get a chance to know Seth Gambino a little bit better. If you get a chance, definitely check out the podcast that I did with him. The starting rivalry between myself and Joey Avalon. I mean, the pictures kind of explain it itself. It's just fan-freaking-tastic. Getting the chance to meet Francine as well as Shane Douglas, ECW Originals, that was just absolutely fantastic. Getting the chance to meet Johnny Impact. I mean, you kidding me? The world champion of Impact during that time, coming to Wisconsin just to challenge our heavyweight champion Logan Lynch in what was a great matchup. It was just absolutely phenomenal. It was fantastic, and we got to sponsor a matchup on that show. Actually, we did I think it was actually almost back-to-back shows, if I'm not mistaken. And it was the triple threat matches that featured TW3, Adam Grace, and Pornstats Peter Schwanz. They kill it with everything they did. I just remember some of the guys, they came up to me and said, did we do good? Did we good? I said, you guys did fantastic. Are you kidding me? Could not think of 3 better individuals to be sponsoring than you guys. You had the great chemistry. You guys did a fantastic job. It's just really cool to see that, and to have the announcer say this matchup is sponsored by the Game Changer Pocket. It was great. It was absolutely great, and I absolutely enjoyed that. Night itself was just absolutely fantastic. Getting to see my friend Max have the biggest smile on his face because he got to meet his idol. He got to meet the hardcore legend Mick Foley. That was just great. It was just really good to see that, and it was one of those things that I wish I could have been there to see the look on his face, but I also knew I had to run the table too, so that was kind of going on for that. Actually, speaking of Max, throughout this year, up till about October, we were covering so many different movies, and we were doing these movie review shows, doing stuff like that, and we're definitely going to be trying to do that more, at least once a month in 2020, because it's always fun getting to hear his his reactions, getting the chance to talk to him about these certain aspects of the movie. And, there's some people that will say, oh, well, he kind of talks too much. We'd love to hear more of your opinion. It's one of those things where it's that's who he is. I'm not going to tell him to stop being who he is. He has a huge mind, and it's so great to see him, talking about these things and how these things are just really awesome to him, and how these things, may just irritate him. Just seeing those kind of deals, and to be able to kind of work off that, but also give my own opinions on it. It was just absolutely amazing to see that. ACW was definitely one of the things that I thoroughly enjoyed going to. So many ACW shows that I got the chance to watch, to be, I wouldn't really say be a part of, but I feel like there's a part of me that was always there to kind of, cheer people on or boo people on, just kind of enjoy stuff like that. Being able to, continue the rivalry that I had with Joey Avalon, where you see a couple pictures of the two of us, we're just flipping each other off, or he's threatening me with a shovel or stuff like that. It's just great. Just having that kind of deal where it almost seems like we could build a rivalry just based on these photos, which is kind of what's... Actually, I'll talk more about that in this next deal, because GLCW, Great Lakes Championship Wrestling, is a promotion that I was not very familiar with. There were a lot of people that were in these shows that I was somewhat familiar with. The first show I went to, got the chance to know a guy by the name of Coda Jacobs a lot better, who I've said before is the most patriotic and the most politically correct wrestler in the world today. And to me, what does that mean, politically correct? Well, I mean, there's some people that can say that he's a bit of he could be a jackass, or he could be something that's, big and important. For those of you that kind of caught that reference, thank you so much. You definitely went to school, and you definitely learned your political parties. For those that did not get that, one party is a donkey, another one is an elephant. I'll let you kind of figure it out from there. But getting the chance to meet people like Al Snow, I got the chance to meet Mr. Anderson again. It was just absolutely great. One thing that has definitely been a consistent deal with me is the fact that I always try to bring one of my championship belts to it. So the last couple shows, I did not get a chance to do that because either I forgot or I had other things going through my head. And there were so many people that were just saying, "Oh, dude, you usually bring your belts. Where's your belts? Where's your belt? Where's this?" And I said to them, "You know what? I'm going to start doing that come 2020." So first show, January 10th, in Friday at the Oshkosh Masonic Center, I will be bringing back a championship belt to the ACW show. I think it's ACW 33, if I'm not mistaken. Cheap plug for that. It's going to be absolutely great. Like I said, I get to debut in a championship belt. I think a lot of people will be either surprised by it or they are going to enjoy it a lot. Man, a lot more ACW deals. This was... So, I should definitely talk more about some of the things with ACW. Through this, I've gotten the chance to talk to some very incredible people, and I've gotten the chance to kind of establish my name around that, and getting the chance to talk to some of these people, and getting the chance to kind of, talk about, like everything they've gone through, everything they've kind of experienced, and I still want to go a little more in depth with that, and that's why I'm hoping come 2020, I've at least interviewed every single person on the roster for ACW. If not, well, then that's why we got 2021. So, got more to look forward to. But getting the chance to do that, I've really come across some really great individuals. Two in particular who I've said are my favorite team right now are the team of Wild and Randy. So Randy Fitzsimmons and Willie Wild. These are two guys who live to be just absolutely entertaining. They live to be just so much fun. They live to make the crowd just really get up on their feet and just enjoy the time. And that's what wrestling does need sometimes. They do need the entertainment aspect. They do need that aspect of just kicking back and just enjoying the matchup. And it's not one of those like insulting, forceful kind of ways. It's just one of those things where it's like, we're goofy, we're wild, we're Randy, we're just two guys that like to have fun in the ring. We also like to be, serious. And there are a couple shows where I do see this more serious side of the team. But, seeing them battle at Tanner's in that, it was a pool party match. There we go, where they used things like lawn chairs, and they used like ice buckets, and they would use pool noodles. There was even a point where they doused one of their opponents with sunscreen, and there's even some that even got into the opponent's mouth, and it was just one of those things where it's like, oh boy, that's a little unsanitary, but at the same time, it's funny. It's one of those things where it's like, it's new, it's something you don't see. I'm sure that there's people that are saying like, oh, well, that could be a GIF, let's face it. Yeah, probably. But it's just really cool to see that. Another person that I got the chance to really interact with and talk to is a young lady by the name of Chelsea. She is the one that's usually there with the toy championship belt. She's usually there selling specialty types of popcorn. And it's really cool to talk to her every now and then. She's a really cool gal. So definitely if you get a chance, buy some of her merch, but also get a chance to just talk to her. She's really cool. Man, now going into the next part of it was going into August, and it's already like almost halfway through the year, my lord. Getting the chance to go back to Chicago, hang out with Tori, but also we went to Medieval Times, which is the first time that I've ever done that. And it is just a fantastic show where they do meals and they have you watch, knights fighting each other. It's just absolutely crazy just seeing everything that goes into the show. You see all the history that goes on with the whole knighthood deal, and they tell a really great story. They have a battle between good and evil. It's just absolutely fantastic. Now, unfortunately, our knight, which was the red and yellow knight, was not victorious that night, and there is going to come a day where I will be a part of the winning area, but that was not my night. But I didn't really care about the winning or losing deal. It was just enjoying the show and being able to just have a fun time with a good friend and be able to enjoy some really good food and really great action. I mean, getting the chance to talk to the knights afterwards saying, dude, you did an awesome job, just great out there. Even talking to our guy, who is probably the most suave. And honestly, right now, I will tell you this right now, I don't mean to insult the other knights, but he was probably the best looking one out of all of them. He would be that knight that I would look at and think, if we were back in the medieval times, he's kind of the mold that I would use to say that, yes, this is what a knight would look like back in the day. So to have that, to be able to be quote-unquote knighted by the queen there, that was just absolutely tremendous. It was just an absolutely fun deal. All Out. Oh, man. This was, major pun intended, a game-changer weekend for me. Because I got the chance to hang out with a lot of the people. I got to meet up with more people from Twitter. Got to meet up with Baller Guy. Got to meet up with Dallas. Got to meet up with Phil again. It was absolutely great. But also get the chance to do something kind of special for the women that were there. And I'm sure a lot of guys were kind of jealous about this fact, but I had a bouquet of flowers that I bought from Joanne's Fabrics, and I know that probably does cheapen this just a little bit, but at the same time, it's kind of one of those things where it's better to have something that's going to last a while and have no smell than something that's only going to last for like maybe a day or two and smell like crap by the time you're done with the day. Getting the chance to get 10 flowers and give it to every single gal that I met there was just absolutely amazing. So I'll actually go through the list of who they were for that. So the lucky ladies that got the flowers were, since it was in Chicago, I got the chance to give it one to Tori, because why not? I gave one to Francine, gave one to Leva Bates, Penelope Ford, Noelle Foley, Rosemary, and Allie. And honestly, the only reason why Rosemary took it was because the flower that I gave her was from the Tree of Death. You definitely would have to be there to kind of understand that. Gave one to Britt Baker, gave one to Allison Kay, as well as Courtney Rush. So here's kind of the funny thing about Allison Kay and Courtney Rush was that they originally were not going to get the flowers whatsoever. But it was one of those things where I was still kind of deciding who was going to get the flowers. Because I think I had maybe one extra. And the original final flower was going to go to Scarlet Bordeaux. But I'll talk about that in just a bit. With Allison Kay, I thought, she seems nice, she seems sweet, and she really is. I've really enjoyed, seeing her compete in Impact Wrestling. She does a fantastic job. Now I know she's doing great in NWA Power. She is one of those people that can not only be really tremendous in the ring, but she is very, very entertaining. If you look at what she does in Masters of the Multiverse, where she was stuck in that Christmas dimension, and she's trying to get out, and she keeps going back in, and she plays off this whole deal continually, where it's like, you don't say the C word, around me, and it's like, oh, I'm so happy that I did not tell her that when I did my long Christmas post. But just having that was just very cool, and again, it's very entertaining. It shows that she can be a very entertaining and a very fun person to be around, but she can also be very fancy. Hence why she did the whole pinky out deal. With Courtney Rush, she was one that I gave to her instead of Scarlet Bordeaux because her and Killer Cross were running late. So I just decided, you know what, Scarlet's taking too long. I'm going to give this to Courtney Rush. And I even did the whole deal where it's like, it's weird. You seem just very familiar to me. I don't know where it is. And hopefully Rosemary doesn't get mad at the fact that we did a autograph from Courtney Rush on one of hers. But if you're finding out right now about this, Rosemary, I'm sorry, but we just didn't have anything else to use. It wasn't like the whole best friends deal where they were waiting on their stuff, And they just decided, oh, well, here's some MJF stuff. Do we want to just sign that? I said, yeah, let's do that, because that dude already insulted me earlier in the weekend. But just getting the chance to see every single reaction was just priceless. And shockingly enough, guys, if you're nice to them and you do these kind of things, you're going to make their day. One of my favorite stories to hear was that with Penelope Ford, was that she seemed like she was kind of down in the dumps, and I didn't really notice. I thought she was just maybe like tired or something like that. And apparently, from what I was told, Kip Sabian told Dave, who I was staying with during that whole weekend, he went up to Dave and said, your friend actually made her really happy, because as soon as she got that flower, she had a little more extra pep in her step. And I recall her just, shaking my hand, and she mouthed the words "thank you" to me twice. So that's kind of something that definitely shows that she really appreciated that. So for those of you that are curious, yes, you treat a girl nice, they are definitely going to treat you nice back. And it was just an absolutely great time. Getting the chance to kill it at karaoke, I'll tell you guys the truth, I did not even want to do karaoke. I was just kind of like, this seems kind of boring. But Dave and AJ and Alicia, they were just all like, no, let's do this. And Front Row Mafia's Brian was even kind of like, yeah, no, let's do this. Like, all right, fine. So I went up, did the Real American theme song, and to be quite honest, the funny thing about this was that the guy who kind of really influenced me to do this, AJ, he didn't go up because they didn't have the songs that he was hoping for. It was like a 80s, I think it was like early 80s, maybe early 90s kind of playlist that they had. So it was one of those things where some of the songs that you would think that they would play nowadays, that wasn't on the playlist. So, and the cool thing was that I think I was probably like one of the top 3 performers of that night. Number 3 was definitely Marco Stunt trying to sing Sweet Home Alabama. That was great, and I just remember bringing that up to him when I saw him at Blizzard Brawl, and he was just kind of like, It's kind of one of those things where it was like, you know what, I get it. It was one of those songs that, you hear the melody to it, but you don't exactly hear like the whole thing with it. It's just one of those things where it's like a hit and miss kind of song. I was at least number 2 with Real American. People were going crazy, and I love the fact that Dave recorded a video, there we go, of that. And number 1 was a duet for Living on a Prayer, because, it's Living on a Prayer. It's one of the best songs of all time. I think it was very hard to compete with that. But getting the chance to interact more with, Dusty Dave and kind of talk to him about the things that, went on with him in King of the Ring, and the chance to kind of talk to him about, things going on with his life, whether it was, dealing with his rabbit, dealing with, maybe there were some talks of family, or even talking about some of his, stuff going over to Europe. I see these pictures of him having just the time of his life, enjoying this trip to Europe, and it's just really cool to see that he's doing well and that he is so happy. That's one thing that he and I really do enjoy, is the fact that we enjoyed each other's company, but we definitely wanted to see each other happy. So that was something that was just absolutely great. He also recorded the question that I asked Cody Rhodes, which I was thinking that, I was already at the point where I was like, holy crap, I get to ask Cody a question. I just had my hand up, and the guy's like, yeah, you. So I'm thinking, oh gosh, I gotta think of something really good. And in the video, you see me kind of like delaying a bit there. I had my question ready, but I also wanted to be really nice to Cody, and maybe there's a kind of part of me that was thinking, like, I kind of want him to remember me a little bit when I see him before we leave to go our for me and Dave go our separate ways. Doing something like that. But just telling him, asking him the question, are there times where you would prefer to be a wrestler, and are there times that you would prefer to be, in that management deal? And just hearing that question and just hearing him answer that was just really great. And the cool thing about it was the fact that anytime that he answers a question, he is talking directly to you. He is making eye contact. He is ensuring that you have his full attention, and he wants to answer it, in the best, most honest way possible. It was really great to see that. Some people that I've gotten the chance to really talk to during this entire deal, the King of the Ring audio drama guy, oh my gosh, I absolutely love listening to it because it is so eloquently done, and it's something that is different, because usually you have people talking about how, well, Monday Night Raw sucked because Seth Rollins was being a whiny little baby, or SmackDown wasn't really that good because Roman Reigns got dumped on with dog food and stuff like that, where this guy is literally telling different events that took place in the 80s, and introducing these characters, and just doing such a great job of distinguishing these characters with different voice tones, different accents, different stuff like that. It's just really cool to listen to that, to be able to reconnect with so many different people, and even get a chance to connect with people, period, is just really great. I know that Jessie, who is very well known on Twitter and who has gone through a lot, she's definitely mentioned this on her social media, is one of those people that I kind of had a feeling that was who it was when I first saw her at the entryway, and I was thinking to myself, that looks like Jessie, but I'm not sure. And then as soon as Dave said, like, "Oh, Jessie, what's going on?" I literally, I think I screamed out in the middle of the floor. I was just like, I knew it was you. This is one of those things where it's like you don't want to say anything to be a fool, but now that you fully know, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I don't care about being a fool anymore. I went with my gut. It was great. During that deal, meeting up with CM Punk again, getting the chance to also meet up with Sting, which is a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me, getting the chance to talk to him and tell him personally, thank you for all the years that you put into the business. That was great. Getting the chance to see the All Out event was absolutely phenomenal. I will say one negative that came out of that was the drunken guy that was about a couple rows away from us, cussing at a couple of fans. But he was just, I don't know, he was one of those fans that felt like he was ruining the event. And why do I say that? Because he was heckling people when they were going up and down the stairs because they were either using the bathroom or they were trying to get beer or something like that. It was just really stupid, and I really hated that. But it didn't ruin the entire event. It was just that brief moment where it's like, dude, just shut up, okay? We're trying to enjoy this event. We're trying to actually have a fun time. Just stop what you're doing. Just please stop. Yeah. I definitely need to mention this. When Anthony was stepping down from Rant with Ant, and when, him, Issa, MJ, and Phil were going their separate ways, one thing that he said to the general manager, King Ricky, was he wanted the Game Changer podcast to be a part of Wrestle Addict Radio, and that is a major highlight for myself, as well as for Mr. Fretz, who is my co-host. He and I kind of kicked it off, I think I want to say maybe about a year ago. Yeah, it was roughly about a year ago. But having him be a part of the show and having him bring in a different kind of personality to the podcast is always a lot of fun to have. And we're going to continue podcasting till, all the way past when the cows come home. And every single day we always thank Ant for giving us this opportunity. And I will never stop thanking him, because if it weren't for him, then we wouldn't have, this bigger platform to be a part of. We wouldn't have this chance to talk to some people. Honestly, if it wasn't for being a part of Wrestle Addict Radio, I don't think I would have gotten recognized all out. There were people that literally said to me, "Oh man, you're part of the Game Changer podcast." That was a highlight for me. That was just great. I could not begin to tell you how humbled I was by that, to have somebody recognize me and to say, "Oh, dude, you're NateFNGreat. You're this dude." It's like, yeah, that I am. It was just absolutely fantastic. It was a really good feeling. One of the best feelings that I've ever had. Not the greatest, because that comes later on during the year. Continuing again to support, ACW, to really be a part of that. One thing I'd said before, and I'll say it again, that's really cool, is that when I reached a point where a wrestler can come up to me and just say, Grunman? And just shake my hand and literally be like, that, I have that kind of immediate, let's say, credibility with somebody, that means a lot. That means that I made a huge difference in either the company's, existence, or I made a difference to that person in particular. Either way, it's just absolutely great. Man, I'm trying to think of what else I'll head here. I'm just seeing a lot more pictures from, the GLCW shows, as well as from, I don't even know if I want to talk about this one, because one thing that was kind of a bit of a, I don't know if I would say, one thing that really sucked this year was anytime you see somebody get hurt, it's one of the worst things. And for the longest time, I honestly thought that this was a work or something like that. But I saw Ben McCoy back-to-back at the GLCW that happened in Merrill, and then saw him at the benefit for Tyler event, I believe it was. And to see to see something happen in a matter of 24 hours, to see a mood go from like supreme happiness to just absolute devastation. It was rough. It was really rough to see that. So Ben did this deal where he was battling Logan Lynch for the Frontline Pro title. And there's a spot where Logan Lynch is on the table. He's on the outside. Ben goes to the top rope, and he does a dive to Logan Lynch on the table, but his leg kind of like lawn darts into the ground, and it kind of sticks, and it kind of definitely is one of those things where it was like, ooh, that looked kind of rough, especially when we see like instant replays and stuff like that, and I see him getting carried out, and I'm thinking, oh wow, they're making it into a work. This is kind of interesting. And it wasn't until one of my friends, AJ, had like 2 blocks of wood, I was like, oh no, this is not a work. This is legit real. It was one of those really scary moments to hear that he broke his leg. But the good news about this is that his leg now is better. He has no restrictions right now. He is literally one of the luckiest men that I have ever seen. And he is one of the most determined men that I've ever seen. He is an amazing individual, and I'm very happy to see that he's going to, that he's walking again, that he's doing these kind of deals. I remember the last GLCW show in December, Seasons Beatings, getting the chance to see him do that, and I was like, oh, dude, you look like you're ready to wrestle Rob Van Dam, tomorrow. And he's just like, no, I am not. Just being able to see, just to be able to, kind of goof around with him and stuff like that, but to still be able to see him doing that. And there's, of course, everybody around that's like, no, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing crazy stuff, you should be taking care of yourself. And I understand where, he's coming from, is that it's one of those things where you really do want to be at your best, and you don't want people to see you less than who you believe that you are. And I really do understand that. Now, I can't say that's exactly what he was going through, but it's definitely one of those things where it seems like it is. Maybe this is too much of a hairy statement for me to say so. It's just one of those things where I've been through it. I've understand what it's like to feel, kind of helpless, and to kind of have that deal where you have to learn to walk again. It's rough. But once you get that feeling again, it's one of the best feelings that you will ever have. Man, it just goes without saying. Oh man, getting the chance to do Bound for Glory with Josh and Jay, just being able to even go through like the downtown Chicago area, because in all honesty, I was intimidated by it because Chicago is one of those big cities and they definitely have like rough neighborhoods and stuff like that. But getting the chance to, walk with them, to watch that, and to be able to enjoy some of the sights and the sounds and the features and stuff like that, and then just cap it off with going to Bound for Glory to enjoy that time with both Jay and Josh, who have been really good friends of mine, and I'm looking forward to continuing to watching more of these, big shows with them. Who knows? At this point, there may be a chance that Jay and I go see the AEW Revolution pay-per-view in a couple months, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, getting the chance to do that, and it's just great. Oh man, the Frontline show in Stevens Point. So getting the chance to once again just enjoy meeting up with friends and meeting up with people, getting the chance to see my friend. Well, I don't know. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say friend. My acquaintance. There we go. Kellen Brooks wrestle again at that show. It was just absolutely fantastic. Loved seeing him compete for the big title, the big one at this event, and he won it. And it was not one of those things where it was like a spur deal like he had with WPW, where they had him win the title earlier in the night, and then main event they just had him lose the title back to Adam Grace. So to kind of see him, have like a fulfilling moment where he's holding the title, where he's just absolutely just doing. It's just really cool to see that and to be a part of that. Also at this event, this was really cool that we got the chance to see this. Sadist made his, I guess you could say, return to wrestling, quote unquote. The only reason why I say it like that is because he's not going to be back with like a full-time deal, but I think that he's going to be one of those guys that will come in, do these like spots, and he will definitely put on something that everybody will never forget. And the thing about it was the fact that I knew about Sadist returning before the music even hit, and I was keeping my mouth shut. I was trying so hard to just be like, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know who this guy is. And I remember Carissa and Grant, they were sitting next to me. Grant has no idea who's coming out. He's just like, I don't know what's going on with this. My buddy Griff is thinking the same thing. He's like, I don't know what's going on. And Carissa, just as about Sadist is about to come out, she grabs my arm and she's just like, are you serious? And I just smile and nod at her like, mm-hmm. Out comes Sadist, and it's just electric. It is just great to see that. Oh, man. It's just really cool. Got the chance to be a part of a bit of an emotional moment at ACW's show in September. It's either September or October. I can't remember exactly which one it was. But they did this really cool deal where it was TJ's last day as a referee there, and he was given like this plaque with the ACW deal, and everybody signed it. It was just really cool to see that. Really awesome. So to be able to see that, it was just incredible. Okay, I think that before we get into let's do the end of year stuff, and then we'll go into the big one. The biggest thing, I think, that almost takes everything else when it came to wrestling was the fact that this year I got to do commentary at not one, but two events. The first one was the Stevens Point show for Frontline Pro, and apparently I think I did a good enough job that they would want me back for that show. The second thing was that I got to do an entire ACW show for the 6th anniversary, and it was just fantastic. It was electrifying, and even behind the headset and everything like that, I was still going crazy. And I was trying so hard to just keep back the chants that I would usually say and stuff like that. But it was just great to be able to sit there and enjoy enjoy all those great matches and enjoy just everything, and be able to call them move for move was just absolutely tremendous. It was absolutely fun. It was great. And the last GLCW show, we got to introduce Kari's little kidlet Shay into the world of wrestling, but especially Coda Jacobs. I'm just going to say this right now, that Shay and Coda have a bit of an interesting rivalry, and I honestly am hoping that evolves into something more, but we'll have to wait and see. Wrestling has been really good to me this year, and it's just absolutely great seeing every single bit of how, my love for wrestling just be rekindled again. So I definitely need to do a major shout out to everybody with ACW, Josh, Nathan, Dylan, and Nick. You guys definitely have been just absolutely fantastic, and I cannot thank you enough for bringing me in to that. For Frontline Pro, Ben, you have been an absolutely fantastic person and a fantastic individual to get to know and to really enjoy, seeing how far you've come and how much of an inspiration you are to so many people. And you have been one of the guys who has an opinion that truly does matter, because you do have so many facts that you put behind it, and you also just do a fantastic job of bringing reality, into it, and not for the sake of, trashing somebody, but for the sake of that the truth needs to be heard. So that was something that it's a hard dose of reality, but it is something that's really great. GLCW, Dave, he is the guy. He is an absolutely fantastic dude, and Dave, you are just one of the most legendary, promoters of this entire state. And honestly, I cannot thank you enough for, allowing me to come to the shows, for just continuing to just have every single promoter here. They always are there to welcome you with just a big smile on your face, and they'll say like, "Hey, it's great to have you here. Thank you for coming out, and just thank you for enjoying it." It's just really cool to see that. So with that, I guess we could talk about, might as well talk about Blizzard Brawl and how it was an absolutely great show, even though there was a lot of technical difficulties during that entire show. Microphones, what on earth? If you want to know more about what was going on with all these technical difficulties, definitely check out my interview with Dave Hero. He kind of explains it a bit more. He explains it better than I could ever explain it. Blizzard Brawl was just absolutely great. Get the chance to meet so many people, including Sean Spears. This was just absolutely great to meet up with him and to be able to say, "Dude, you're one of my friend's favorite wrestlers," and I wanted to kind of use this as to rub in his face. And he's like, "Oh, dude, that's so cool," and also to just tell him that I said, "Eat shit," and I'm just like, "Will do." It's just one of those things where it's just like, he's trying to help rub salt in the wound. It's great. I'll never say, I might say something bad about Sean Spears later on, but for right now, he's cool in my book. But the major thing that is the greatest moment that could ever happen, not only to me, but to my entire family, is the fact that we welcomed 2 new members of the family. My 2 little nephews are just absolutely adorable. They are just, man. Every single time I see them, I just have a great big smile on my face, because now I can be super uncle. Now I can be the person that, spoils them a bit, that can be the person that will always be there to help them grow, to help them learn right from wrong. Just being able to take care of a human life and to be able to just enjoy every single moment that you can with them. Sometimes that doesn't always happen because of work or something like that, but more times than not, I've taken advantage of that. I've literally said I am spending my time with my nephews because they are that important to me. And I've already talked to them about, when they get older, how Uncle Nate is going to take them to wrestling events and how we're going to have a great time. And I'm going to introduce you to so many different wrestlers, except for one maybe in particular. It might be Joey Avalon, but we'll see. We'll see if he's on his best behavior. But anyway, it's just really wonderful to see that. It was just a fantastic, fantastic year. This one is not as big as the nephews, but one thing that I should definitely mention was that I got back into acting this year. I got to enjoy a tremendous show with a tremendous crew. And Cindy, I want to thank you so much for bringing me back into the fray, for helping me, come back, and for helping me, be the best. And honestly, it's not going to be a consistent deal where I'm doing a show after show after show after show. No, it's going to be probably more like a once a year kind of deal, because I do have to, find the right job. I have to make the right money. I have to be able to, provide for myself. But at the same time, I do want to appreciate some of the finer things in life. And that is one of the things that makes me the most happy, is be able to go to these shows, to be a part of these shows, and have fun with it. To be a different character, to be somebody that people can enjoy, either laughing with or they can relate to, or something like that. Just absolutely, just flat out enjoy. So, with that being said, that is my retrospective, that is my review, as it were, of my 2019. I'm sure Facebook would love nothing more than to try and show that in their way, but at the same time, it wouldn't be the same. So I thought it'd be better for you guys to hear it from me, and to be able to know that 2019 was an absolutely fantastic year. And sometimes you just gotta take chances. You just got to enjoy some of the finer things in life and enjoy these little moments, because honestly, you never know when these moments are going to come around again. So that is probably the biggest advice I can give people, and I'm looking forward to just meeting so many different people. I've already talked to some people from... I know that one of the biggest things that I want to do is to go to Canada and be able to go to a wrestling event and meet up with so many people, such as Mr. Fretz, get to meet up Danny Nolan, who I've said is my BFF, and I need to remind her of that before the year is over. Another person there, Amanda, she's absolutely great, and she actually commented on a picture that I took. Well, not a picture that I took. There was this collage that I put on Twitter where she saw all the people that I've met throughout this year, and she definitely wants to be on that list. And honestly, I want more people to be on that list. I do want more people to really be a part of my life, because, I believe that there is a bigger family than the family that I've been given. And I want to go out there and find that family. I want to be able to welcome them with open arms and be that person that they can talk to, that they can rely on, that can be there for them no matter what. And that is one of the things I really do try to emphasize with the Game Changer, is the fact that I like to make a difference, and I really do want to make a difference going into 2020. So you are definitely going to get a bit of the same, but also there's going to be different deals when it comes to the Game Changer podcast coming in 2020. There's going to be a lot of interviews, a lot more content that we used to do that I've never gotten the chance to do, but now I'm finally getting a chance to make these things. It's going to be just absolutely great. There's going to be more content, more pop culture stuff, more talks of, maybe we'll even start talking about comics and stuff like that. Who knows? But it's going to be an absolutely fantastic year. And I am hoping that you guys are along for the ride, because I want you guys to enjoy these moments as much as I have, if not more so. So, I've been NateFNGreat. You can find us on so many different podcasting formats, including Spreaker.com, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, so many different deals. Well, YouTube's going to be probably up in the air because depending on how the laws and like that change, we might just not do YouTube anymore. Who knows? You can follow me on Twitter at RealFNGame. You can also give us a like on our Facebook fan page, which I will definitely be posting more starting January 1st, 2020. Thank you guys so much. Have yourself a wonderful year, including a very happy new year. And I'll see you in 2020. Bye-bye.